us know if you can hear us, if you can see us all fine, and then we could get started.
Hey.
Hello.
You have to say hey like the Outlanders do.
Hey.
Hey.
Can hear you all fine. Okay, that's great. We may have some people coming over from our YouTube and Facebook streams as we are currently experiencing some technical difficulties, so we will be streaming on Twitch just for today. Hopefully it will be better next time, but this time Twitch is better than nothing, I would say. Volume is very low. Okay, should I speak louder? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just not speaking loud enough. Let me know. Let someone else please do. Feel free to let us know if the volume's all okay, and then we'll jump right in. But yeah.
Was the hey loud enough? I mean, like that should be like the unit of.
Unit of. It's not decibels anymore. It's hey.
Unit of volume is one hey. Yeah.
Wait, okay, so like, would you say was it like half a hey or like
Full.
Yeah, or full one.
Full hey or. Yeah.
Okay, well, I've upped the mic, so let me know how it goes. Some are saying that it's a bit low, some are saying it's fine, so I've put it up on max, and let's see how it goes. Maybe we gotta speak a bit louder, y'all. Alright? Okay, so I swear we're gonna start now, but before that, there was someone who was mentioning that the live is not showing up on YouTube. Yes, we are having some technical difficulties right now, so we are not streaming on Facebook or YouTube today, but just on Twitch. So hopefully all is fine, and hopefully our YouTube Outlanders and our Facebook Outlanders can stop by our stream on Twitch. So that's great. Alright, so hello everyone, my name is Forsythia. You may know me as Anjanette, but I'm usually just Forsythia. I'm Senior Community Manager for Vigor, and with me today I have two awesome guests, Michal and Filip.
Hey.
You may have seen both of them before already, but yes, they are our devs, but they will still be introducing themselves, briefly as well. I'm just gonna check what the chat has to say. Can hear you, but you're dropping frames a little. Yeah, hopefully it won't be too bad, or it won't stutter too much. It's due to the technical difficulties we're having, so we're really sorry about that. Hopefully the audio will be at least smoother than the video. Let us know. Feel free to just go ahead and shout it at chat. Anyway, so on to introductions. Who would like to go first?
Hello. I'm Michal. I'm technical designer, which means I design very technically.
Okay.
And I do technical stuff. And I also program the game not to do weird shit, which not always works as ideally, and then it's up to me again to fix it, so.
That's great. Alright, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask Michal. And now on to Filip. Please do introduce yourself for our Outlanders.
Hello there. I am Filip. I'm a designer here at Bohemia, and I basically design and write everything about the stuff we want in the game, and then basically all those information is transferred to Michal here, who strives with coding it in and plugging it in correctly.
Nice. Okay. All right. Let's check what the chat has to say. And yes, by the way, if you have any questions for Filip as well, feel free to send them in the chat. Let's see what the people have to say. TT says that it seems to have ironed out now, so okay, we'll see. Fingers crossed that all goes okay. But yeah, so today we will be having our live Q&A session, and we've also procured some questions from our social media posts, so we will be discussing them a bit later, but feel free to send some questions in the chat if you would like. Alright, so maybe it would be better to start with something that we worked on earlier on in the week. I wanted to try and get into a game, or well, I wanted to let Filip get into a game, but maybe right now, like, feel free to queue up. I don't know if anyone wants to queue up with you, but feel free to shout out where you're gonna go before I get started on some announcements.
Where would you like me to go?
maybe ask the chat where to go.
Would you like me to go?
In the meantime, I've noticed the remark by Tiny Online. Yeah, like when Filip comes up with ideas and it comes over to us or me specifically, sometimes one drink doesn't do that. But
It depends on the drink.
it depends. I mean, it depends on the drink, obviously.
And it
but-
depends on the design, actually.
And it depends on the design.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, it's nothing that a few dark rituals and selling your soul doesn't fix. So
Yeah, a couple of goats, and yeah.
the only problem is like where you look for the souls, right?
Mm.
Okay, and
There's
we've
something.
got a Gruntime suggestion, by the way.
Grunt time. All right, let's jump in.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so while Filip queues up for an encounter on Gruntime, let me just switch over to some news. Some may have missed out on this, but that's why we're having live streams. So basically, we released 2 hotfixes recently, with the most recent one fixing blurry visuals and the shelter level issues and the weapon shadow issues. You know, that one with a black circle on the weapon that causes you to be seen through walls and floors and all that. Our team was able to release a fix for it earlier on this week, so we hope that all is going smoothly or swimmingly. This might be interesting for you all to hear, but we are aware that it hasn't been the smoothest past few weeks since our update dropped. So we would like to give a compensation to our players once we roll out all the fixes on all platforms. We would like to give a small amount of crowns so that we could, you know, just a small apology from us on how unsmooth it's been going. So we'll be giving more information about it eventually, but this is just early information for you all to have something to look forward to. But yeah, so compensation coming your way soon. Alright, and Filip was able to get into an encounter and is boosting the lobby.
If I can also follow up with that, and that kind of ties into the question by Enzo there. But yeah, so like obviously we are sorry for how it actually worked out with some of the unfortunate bugs that appeared. They turned out to be fairly tricky, sort of combinations of various circumstances that we are going through, fixing them one by one. Some, as you have heard, have already been fixed. Hopefully it's going to be good for you. If not, definitely let us know. And then following up with the answer to Enzo's question, most of what we're doing is a lot of bug fixing to make sure that the stuff that has been broken, especially in the last update, is in a much better state, so it's much more playable. And we're also slowly working and planning on some cool new things as well. But we're not going to be discussing any of that just yet until we're entirely sure that we want to include it in the update. Because obviously we don't want to make like false promises. We don't want to get your hopes up for something that you will be, very, very happy about, and then just come with news that like, oh yeah, we decided not to do it anyway. So yeah, we have a lot of ideas, a lot of cool stuff, even planned, but not necessarily for the next update. So just keep an eye out. And again, when it comes to the bugs, yeah, it sucks, but hopefully it's gonna be much better in the coming days. So check it out, and if you encounter anything, let us know, and we'll fix it.
Yep. Thank you so much, Michal, for your response, and I hope it also...
And also keep in mind that like once we actually have something ready that we know is going to go to, we're gonna be super excited to share it with you, because we love when you guys are excited about stuff that we do. So we definitely don't want to keep things secret just for whatever reason. We just want to,
We want to be sure.
Yeah, we want to be sure with what we do. Yeah, like this past update was much more
Difficult.
wonky, much more difficult, yeah. But like I said, it was a combination. Now that we know, now that we've investigated and we fixed a lot of stuff, it was in many instances a strange combination of coincidences that resulted in really, really nasty bugs. Some actually not necessarily that detrimental to gameplay, just obvious. And so we're now actually looking for ways how to avoid those, how to make sure that we can fix them and fix any similar bugs that might happen before they actually get to you guys. So hopefully we can actually make this better.
Yep, we're doing our best. Alright, hopefully that... Thank you, Michal, for that awesome response, and I hope that it clears it up for some of our Outlanders as well who are asking, Enzo namely, and maybe a few others who weren't able to shoot their question in regarding similar topics. Alright, let's see what the chat has to say while Filip is trying to keep himself alive.
I spotted a question, small or big, on there, asked if design ideas go through a process of weighing the options, if it's beneficial to the game and choosing the right. Well, that is perfectly described what we have to do before implementing an idea. That is exactly what the designer's job should be, because ideas are well,
they're good.
Everybody has plenty of ideas.
Yeah.
But you have to choose them wisely and implement them in a way that would be, as you said, beneficial to the game and so the player enjoy them. They mustn't be self-expedient and just be there for the sole purpose of being there.
Yeah, one of my teachers in any university used to say that he actually taught me game design course, and he used to say that ideas are worthless until you actually do something with it.
Exactly.
So that's exactly that. And then also there's another part where like this is where Filip's design ends and where our works begin. It is completely different thing to work on a brand new project where you work from scratch. So a lot of the design processes happen before you guys would even know about that. But here, as we're basically doing this live ops project with Vigor, there's also a lot of instances where we encounter technical limitations to whatever we want to do. So there's the first iteration is basically just going through the design, looking how it affects the rest of the gameplay, looking for the purpose of what we want to bring with the new stuff that we introduce into the game. And then we need to also reevaluate the same thing over again with the consideration of the technical state of the game, whether it actually allows us to do it, whether it would be actually feasible in terms of like spending time on it and resources. Sometimes we have a great idea that can be done, and then we find out, okay, we would need to spend like 2 or 3 updates implementing it.
Exactly.
And suddenly it becomes much more problematic because we can do so much more over that time. So we need to also balance that. Again, we have a lot of great ideas there. I remember, like, I'm not gonna tell what it was, but I remember a few discussions when we had like specific idea that I really loved and I really wanted to see the game, but we find out that we just couldn't because it would completely ruin the game from technical perspective. It would basically completely tank performance, and I felt so sad and like it's something that we just can't solve at this point without like actually having to redo the whole game from scratch.
And the players would love the outcome. They would love it.
Yeah, so this is another thing, like when you guys are sometimes asking for new features or new stuff, and I love many of those ideas, but sometimes we just can't do it with the stuff that we already have in front of us. So yeah, it's a little bit of a balancing game, but hopefully we can still come up on top and still bring out new and cool stuff that you guys will love, and make the game, you know, fun for everyone.
Was those certain teachers easy?
Yeah.
Okay, same teacher. So.
Okay, universities. Oh, you left him hanging.
Not for long though.
Okay. All right. Let's try and see what else the chat has to say. And actually, maybe before I scroll up on the chat, Filip, have you by any chance got any adrenaline shots on you?
I do actually.
Could you perhaps, as a designer, talk a little bit more about the adrenaline shot, as many of our Outlanders are still quite divided on it, and I think that you would probably be one of the best people who would explain how it works and all that jazz.
Sure. Well, the best person, jazz hands. The best person would be actually a designer who designed it. It was from scratch. Which wasn't me, but it was my colleague. And the effects are quite. I would say they're quite simple. Adrenaline shot, as you might suspect, gives you an energy boost, and the forms of it are mainly for situations when you are overburdened. Let's say, the more stuff you have in your inventory, the more effect you can see it has. Right now, as you can see, not that much, because I'm not that much packed, but when you're carrying too much weight and you apply the adrenaline shot, it dramatically reduces the limitations on your movement. It might not vary that much if your inventory is empty and you're not carrying anything. You still get a boost. You will still feel it a bit. So there is a limit to that. Even if you're really like completely empty, you will still feel certain boost that it gives you in speed, and if I recall correctly, let's do that again. You get your stamina, if I'm not mistaken, it gets depleted slower, I think.
Yes, I believe.
I'm not right now at the moment. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so.
Maybe if you actually had so much weight, it would factor in the negation of
I'll
weight.
pick up with some heavy weapons in the next match, and you will see the difference. But then when you overdo it, like I did right now, when you stretch yourself to the limit, to the zero limit of stamina, you will feel your heart pounding, so your hearing will be made easy. I can't properly hear the shots, and so it'll be quite chilling. So you have to watch your stamina while using it. Be still observant about your limitations as a human being.
Perhaps a little fun fact and a very minor.
Big rip.
I guess not really teaser. I don't think so. But the adrenaline shot is actually one of the mechanics that was unfortunate victim of those technical limitations.
Yes.
As we did have few ideas with that we thought would be really, really cool, but then we found out that we can't actually really do it because of how the rest of the mechanics regarding that were implemented. So we ended up scratching parts of what we envisioned initially.
Yeah, the original idea affected many other areas and many other mechanics in the game, but as you said, that the technical limitations did not allow us to tweak the insides of the game that much. But still, it's very usable. For example, the way I use it the most is when you're carrying an airdrop and you're packed from the encounter. Fuel, I think it's very very heavy. So when you're packed with interesting stuff and the airdrop, and you give yourself a boost, you can escape quite. You feel the difference of escaping quite quickly.
Alrighty then. So.
Or if you like the heavy weapons, machine guns and all that, you might want to use that for that, because you will move around much quicker.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, like, then this might also bring up the question, and I've seen it a couple of times as well in the chat.
A couple of people already mentioned it. Honestly, just like before, we are aware of the skewed balance regarding guns. I believe we've already mentioned it. We are working on re-evaluating the balance of guns in general. So we hope to create a more consistent system over all the gun classes, and we've already actually started with it some time ago. Regarding LMGs, they specifically are fairly tricky, and I believe last time we were here with Alex, I think that he talked about it quite in detail. That it's a very tricky class of weapons, where you're really fighting the idea of making it more realistic, but also making it more gamey, because those aren't actually that compatible as you might think. And so we have a bunch of ideas, not only as to just balancing it out, but maybe actually changing a little bit how you work with machine guns, but so far nothing specific that we are sure we want to actually go for. So we are working on it, we are considering our options, and hopefully not too long from now we might be able to bring changes to that you guys might appreciate in this way. But for now, we are looking more into just balancing the numbers, so to say. Also, again, we're gonna welcome any constructive feedback regarding the guns that will help us make sure that they're more balanced in general. But yeah, hopefully we can make it even better over time. And this, if I may, actually, one other question that I noticed, and I think it was one that I want to go back to.
Okay.
So like you guys are great, a lot of questions. I love it, but it was actually higher in the chat. But I remember that. Except I don't remember who asked it. But anyway, so there was a question that. What would be the features? What do we want to do with the game if? And I'm not sure.
Yeah. It was. I think that if they won the lottery, what would we add? That was a question by Tiny Online.
Yeah, it was Tiny, exactly. So this sort of brings me to that like I don't really think that money necessarily is a problem here, or not necessarily as big of a problem as time in general. Like, would you guys be willing to wait for a year and a half until your next update? Because that's really the question. If we actually go into these large changes, what we need is a lot of time to go through the process of designing it, implementing it, and then polishing it and testing before we release it. If we do smaller changes, it's fine with the processes we have, with bringing you updates as we do. But going into these sort of large overhauls and reworks means a lot of time. And if we were to, for example, focus only on that, it would mean that we couldn't do a lot of the other stuff, and therefore we wouldn't have content to release for a long time. So we're trying to kind of balance that as well. Almost, I would say, doing some of the larger stuff kind of on the side in a way, but not quite, so that we can still do that. Like, for example, with the guns rework that we are trying to push through, we are trying to go through that step by step, and hopefully, I don't know when, but hopefully we can bring it soon. To you guys, so that you can, again, with the feedback that we'll gather, balance it out to make sure that the gunplay is spicy. So that's that, and specifically subjectively, I have a lot of ideas that I would want to see in the game, but again, the issue would be time. I think I mentioned it almost every stream that I'm here. Like, we do have like whiteboards filled with ideas and brainstorms, and we have like really cool stuff that I'm pretty sure that if we could like discuss it with you guys, you would love it. But we, like I mentioned, we don't want to like talk about this stuff in case we don't end up doing that. So.
That was a very long-winded response.
Yeah, and also actually interesting question from Enzo here. If it's easier to remove things than adding things in terms of development, and honestly, there's no rule regarding that. Sometimes adding something is as easy as just adding a line into a configuration. Sometimes removing something means you have to rebalance half the game or rewrite half the systems that were somehow tied to it. So it really depends on a specific thing. And if, specifically as you are alluding to LMGs, removing LMGs, I would say maybe technology or like technically wouldn't be necessarily that difficult, although it still wouldn't be a trivial task. I think it would have a whole different ramifications regarding, for example, people that have invested more resources into LMGs, and then what you do with that. Like, we can't just take away something that was in a game and it was one of the fundamental parts of it, and then just pretend that it didn't exist. So we would need to find ways to balance out that void that we create with it. So it's never that easy, unfortunately. But yeah, like I said, we're looking for ways how to rebalance so that we can still have large machine guns, because they are cool weapons to have, but to make sure that they are still balanced with not only other weapons but general playstyles. That includes also consumables. It includes general, the whole range from like stealthy looter to killer, so that anyone can feel comfortable in their own playstyle in the context of the game and the gameplay. So, and I hope that we can get there, and I hope that it's not gonna take too long, but we'll see how it goes.
We'll see about that. And actually, like, I'm really glad that you were able to talk about this more in detail, as Enzo said in his thank you message, that we are basically, you especially right now, are helping him understand the details and the complexity of all this. So thank you so much, Michal. I appreciate it.
If you guys want it, like I suppose we can do a string where we're literally going to be talking about technical stuff, but there's also the consideration that I think that I really can't go into too much detail in general. So like, you know, I would
you have to find the middle ground.
Yeah, like I would be happy talking about that, and especially if you say that like it helps you understand how the processes work, because I see a lot of people like mentioning sometimes that, oh come on, why didn't you guys add that, or why didn't you guys do that? And by the way, this is not just in context of Vigor, right? This is general thing, and I'm guilty of it as well sometimes. Then I'm just like, why don't you guys just do that, right? Come on, it can't be that difficult to just like, I don't know, add one animation into the game or whatever, and then, you know, remembering that I'm a game developer and like remembering when I work with the code base sometimes and being like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Like sometimes it just, if you don't count with some things up front and you build systems in a more rigid way, without allowing for some expansions in certain directions, you realize that you would have to rewrite everything to add just one tiny little thing that could be fun, of course, but you're gonna spend half a year of work on it, so you're just not gonna do that, and then you're gonna have players complaining that why didn't you add that? So yeah, sometimes unfortunately it's that.
Yeah,
it's not. I couldn't think of just not even one thing that would be just problem of one thing, of one element in the game. It's all
interconnected.
Like, it's interconnected, not all, but
mostly.
You know, it affects several different areas of the game, and not talking about the code yet. Even so, there'll be much more there. So it's not that simple. Nearly never.
Yeah, and also I'm really sorry to switch the conversation back to the adrenaline shot, but I really saw the effects of it earlier while you were running, but right now...
I didn't want to interrupt you there, but you could see, you can rewind back everything, and you can see that the effect, especially when combined with caffeine.
Do you still have an adrenaline shot?
Not, I use... yes, one. More. I have one more.
Okay, so maybe we could re-demonstrate it. I know, I'm really sorry, but I think that now, while you're like super heavy with a heavier loadout, I think that with a combination of caffeine earlier,
I did it a while ago. Yeah. If you use adrenaline shot, which lasts longer than caffeine, and then use caffeine on top of that, you have like a couple of seconds. No, well, not just a couple, more than that.
You have an increase in.
Yeah, really, your movement really kicks in.
For sure. And I guess you're all out of caffeine as well.
Yeah. I'm really.
Big rip. All right.
Well, thank you.
Big rip. All right. Let me have a look. And I actually want to see what's going on over here in the chat. Wait, what's going on?
I love how Enzo likened coding to a giant game of Jenga, and that's exactly what it is.
Well, you're closer than some might think.
Yeah, I literally got flashbacks of like when I remove or comment just a small piece of code. Like, come on, it's gonna be easy, and then you just watch how the game crashes completely. It's exactly that.
Oh, big rip.
But it's also a lot of fun actually building it when you actually see the results and you see that it works.
And you see how much it can be broken.
And you see how much... Like, one thing, there's like the first layer, like, we do love when you guys are enjoying the game, obviously, and then we also actually kind of love when you break it because it's really funny, and it shows us that there are also things that, like, we didn't consider, like, you actually come up with something and we're like,
right.
You can actually do that.
Yeah. And also, I just want to briefly acknowledge how someone in the chat was saying that we're, like, everyone in the chat's talking about LMGs and we're talking about adrenaline shot. But, like, bro, literally right before that, Michal was talking about LMGs. So, if you think that we are deflecting, then I'm sorry that you think so, but maybe you could watch the VOD as well later on, and maybe if we get the opportunity to have Michal and Filip grace us again at another dev stream as our guests, they would probably be more than happy to go ahead and respond again about the LMG issue. And also, like Michal mentioned earlier, Alex was actually the best person for that, and there was a stream with Alex about it. It was a few streams back. I think it was the one before our 13.0 update. So if you'd like to hear more about LMGs, you could definitely watch the VOD of that as well.
Next time on Radio Vigor, a 3-hour special of LMGs in a very, very sleepy voice.
In a very sleep. Well, so
I would watch that stream before sleep. That would put me right off. Oh man, let's do that. It's awesome.
Yep, for sure. Alright, and I also wanted to address some questions that we got on our social media, and I think that I've seen some mentions of shelter improvements as well in the chat earlier, although unfortunately I think it was quite up there and it's quite far, but the question from Reddit was, are there plans for more shelter upgrades? Yeah, we are planning on something behind the scenes. There's something that we're working on under the hood for sure, and we are hoping that we would be able to share more information with you about it soon. Like, probably, if you think soon is this month, then I am unfortunately going to have to be the bearer of bad news and say that we are still working on it, so talking about it this month is not really likely.
This is after all one of the issues of like when we talk about things and we mention like, oh, just keep an eye out and it's gonna happen soon hopefully, but then what is soon, right? And yeah, like that's honestly probably the most accurate thing that we can say, because if it's a work in progress, even we don't necessarily know when it's gonna be ready.
Yeah, because there are issues.
Internal estimates into like, yeah, this is when we might start testing it and whatnot, and like we hope we can manage that. Not always it works out. Sometimes actually we might even be better and we might end up a little bit earlier than we expected. It doesn't happen often, but it can. But again, it's soon. It means we're working on it. It means
we're preparing something behind the scenes, and we are hoping that we can share information in a short amount of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what soon means. But then again, we have to think about subjectivity and relativity of how short is short and all of that.
I mean, time is an illusion. Lunchtime, doubly so.
You can have 3 lunches and it could be at midnight. So
nice.
Alright, so hopefully that answers that question regarding shelter upgrades. And while Filip is dancing near the airdrop, are you trying to bait people into coming at you, or are you...
Well, I'm prepared to help them escape with the airdrop, but no one seems to.
Maybe they've all run away from you.
Yeah, well, it's fair, but the last person I saw I shoot in the leg and just...
Is this a standard outsourcing system when you, like, why should you be bothered to bring the airdrop yourself? You're gonna have someone else bring the airdrop for you,
Sure.
right?
Oh,
and I thought you would add and then shoot them in the head while extracting and then check it on yourself. But I'm not gonna do that.
That's implied.
I swear.
No, I accidentally misclicked. Oh, that was a mistake. Wait, let me...
What did you do?
I made a mistake. Okay, I have resolved the mistake. It's alright. All is fine now. Alright, let's try and see if I could work with this better. I am really sorry for that. I have misclicked. The chat is going
The treacherous
fast.
chat moved.
It did.
I saw flinch.
Yeah, and I also don't have steady hands, so it was a long day. Let's try and see what the chat has to say meanwhile, though. Let's see. Okay. Why add more content when there are other glitches that need to be fixed?
And I tell you exactly why. Because you'd ask the very same thing the other way around if we didn't. No, the thing is that Vigor is a kind of game that kind of needs new content every once in a while, and we are also, fixing glitches. Like, it's not like we're working on like one single thing, but it also would not be that fun, I guess, or like that engaging if you didn't have new stuff to grind for, if you didn't have new cool cosmetics, if you like them, or new guns to try out or something like that. You know, like at least once in a while we need to bring something new to the game, not just in terms of like necessarily a new UI or something, but a new content as well.
Yep. I'm happy that you were able to answer that, but I also wanted to let you have a breather for a bit, because I know that you've been answering a lot of questions.
No, like, I mean, I don't have a problem. Especially now, today the chat is pretty cool with, like, they ask you a lot of questions, and that's nice, because, you know, we can discuss things.
But, like, I still want to interrupt you for a moment while I tell our Outlanders that we currently have a sale going on PlayStation, specifically for those in the US region. It's called Planet of the Discounts, and you can grab some of our premium packs and crowns for a discounted price, so we hope that you can grab it while you can. It's only available for a limited time, so we will the sale will end eventually, and we will be notifying you more about it as well on our socials when the time comes. All right, so let's read what the chat has to say. While Filip, what is that? Oh, it's a shootout. Okay.
It is.
Ooh, alrighty then. Well, I know that there was a suggestion to do shootout as a warm-up, but I guess you're hardcore and you use encounters as a warm-up.
Sure, yeah. Well, I wouldn't call it hardcore, but I don't know. I just prefer to be stretched for shootout.
Yep. Alright, that is a strange report. Yesterday, I placed a contact bomb on the floor, and then it appeared on the wall above my head. That doesn't sound very good.
Doesn't sound good, but I can imagine that happening. It shouldn't be happening for God, but for my QA days, I would love to ask you for map and location and as much
information as possible.
Possibly screenshots, but I don't see that happening.
But it would be very helpful.
Yes,
that's why we always ask for screenshots and more details. What console you're playing on? Was your latency settings on?
But at least the map and and location, like inside of a building or something like that, we might in some spare time, which I don't know the meaning of the words, so in the recent times, but in spare time we can recheck, for example, the placement and the map,
the map, like was it in a tunnel?
The layout.
Which one
I doubt they will
mm-hmm.
easily find it. Those are pretty well hidden often, these bugs.
Yeah, like I remember there were instances where people were reporting that, like, I don't know, it was some hole in a tube that's available in station, and I was like, but there are so many of those tubes, and so I think that one of our QA testers
we
at
were
that
searching
time
for that
for a whole day.
For half an hour. That was more.
Well, yeah, more, but
like half an hour in a span of like 3 meters on the ground. We knew the exact location, but it was like, which pixel does it? That was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
But
really
we found it. Yeah, that. Yeah.
So another technical window here. Whenever you guys report a bug, the first step for us is to reproduce it, because we need to know exactly how it happens, so we can look for the flow of data in that particular spot, in that particular context. So the more context you can give us, the easier for us is to go and check whether it happens or what circumstances are required for it to happen, and therefore we can look for the actual mistake. It's kind of obvious that obviously any report is good because at least lets us know that there is something wrong, but if we only get a report of like
I can't shoot my weapon,
or like my grenade didn't work, it's like, okay, that's cool, but
what happened though?
You know, there can be so many different situations. And especially, and again, going sort of back to Enzo's metaphor of Jenga tower, because it's a very, very complex system with lots of pieces that depend on each other. And with this, it could be like, okay, someone reports my grenade doesn't work. but it can be literally a super specific situation where it just clips with a specific type of an object that has a specific collider in specific settings that simply derps out. And we won't know until you give us at least some additional information. Now, this isn't a criticism. Sometimes you don't have access to that information, but I'm just explaining why we're asking for as much information as possible.
Yeah, and that's why we always also ask for photos or screenshots or videos, because though it might look like just an issue to you, like a bad issue, there are so many things we could analyze in a video or in a screenshot. So I'm sure
I had my situations when I got a bug and I don't know what actually this means, and then I just watched the video and was like, oh, okay, I know exactly why this happened. So, yeah, sometimes it helps a lot. Sometimes actually not necessarily as much, but it's
always good to have, for sure.
That's exactly what means as much information
so
as
again,
possible.
like for future reference, also you guys, like if you are reporting bugs, try and think about that. And so if you can get a clip, get a screenshot, whatever, even if you feel like I don't necessarily see anything in that video clip, we might. So it's better to provide us with information that might even turn out to be useless rather than not.
Yep. And there's a question of where would you like the clip sent? Honestly, on any of our social media platforms, we trawl through those social media platforms every day. So we have Facebook in itself, you can post it in the comments. We have Facebook groups, you can start a thread. We have Reddit, you can start a post or a thread on there with a clip. We also have Twitter, you can tweet it at us, you can reply to one of our tweets with the issue. You can also message us on Instagram about it, or comment on any of our Instagram posts about it. You can comment on our YouTube videos about it. Like the options are endless. Like you may send it to any of our social media platforms and we will find it and we will have a look at it. We will take a gander, I promise. So we don't have any preferences anywhere on our socials. Even Discord would be good, actually. Or you can
actually
also
do even have channels on Discord
specifically for that. And you may also send it to our Vigor partners, who are always very kind enough to send them our way as well with more information. So yeah, the options are endless.
I see a question, and I noticed that it has been asked over time, almost constantly on Reddit and such, regarding new events or loot containers or points of interest. The answer is not now. We are not planning on adding any new points of interest or loot events or anything like that. That doesn't mean that we're never gonna come back to that. For now, we don't even have any plans. So, I mean, if you have any suggestions or ideas, we are going to be happy to hear them, and we might consider them, but don't expect anything anytime soon.
And we've got another question which other people have brought up before. Don't know if anyone asked, but is there anything planned for Halloween? Yes, we have plans for Halloween.
People usually put on costumes and such. They go trick-or-treating.
Give me your
They
candy.
stay up late and they eat a lot of candy. And
While watching horror movies. No, they're kidding, of course. We do have plans for Halloween aside from those shenanigans just mentioned. There will be interesting cosmetics coming during Halloween. They will be definitely scary, spooky themed, and we will also be having similar, basically it will be similar to how our Halloween was last year. So yeah, hopefully you are looking forward to it, but it will happen around Halloween for sure. What, you were pointing at something and I'm not sure what.
It was the headless mode for Halloween.
Oh, that would be so cool. But I think that we would like to do that, but it's not exactly easy, because when we had the headless issue, it was an issue, so it was something that we patched up and...
over time, I sort of got to believe that the game is sort of like a sentient organism that just wants to screw with us.
It does its own thing.
Yeah. So it's like sometimes it does something on its own, and we have to fix it, and it's kind of a problem to fix it. And then when we want to do it ourselves, we find out that it's actually kind of hard to do. Who knows? One day maybe.
But not this upcoming Halloween, sadly. And while Filip is back at the shelter, I also saw a question earlier as I was mentioning the PlayStation sales. They asked, what about Xbox? Well, actually, Xbox also has a sale going on right now for a specific crown pack, and it's called the Indie Hits sale. So you could grab some crowns for a discounted price, and hopefully you will be able to grab it before the time on this discount runs out. But we will be posting more information on our socials as well. This is just some early information for you right now, and maybe it would be good for me to rehash what I mentioned towards the beginning of the stream, which is that we released a hotfix earlier on this week for blurry visuals and the shelter level visuals as well as the weapon shadow issues, the one that caused you to be seen through different surfaces like walls and floors. And tied to this, we also mentioned early on in the stream that we would like to give out some compensation to you Outlanders for those of you who have experienced update 13.0, basically, Chronicles Deliverance. So we will be awarding some compensation crowns to you all once we roll out all the fixes on all platforms. So yeah, we'll also be giving more information about it on our social media. This is just some early information for y'all as you are stopping by our stream, and this is what streams are good for, early information for those of you who are amazing enough to stop by.
There is a good point. Zeke is mentioning that there's still no fix for Switch.
Yes.
I believe
Yeah.
it's coming a little bit later.
It is. But basically, we were able to push out the fix on other platforms first. We were able to do it on Xbox and PlayStation, but for Nintendo Switch, it will take some time for it to come out. But it's in the pipeline. It's on its way. It will be getting there shortly. Hopefully, it will be totally fine before. I would give it a week or two. Max.
It is on its way.
Yeah, it's there are long processes for different platforms, so it's just something that we have to work with, and hopefully you would stay patient about this, and thank you so much for waiting on the fix on this. We know that the issues are annoying, but there are long processes for other platforms, so hopefully it'll all be alright soon. Alright, so let's see. Oh, and also Filip is now queuing up for an encounter on Segbrook. And maybe I would also like to address a few more questions from our social media. Are there any plans for a whole new encounters map? Well, we would like to do that, but we're not doing one soon. We're not doing it in the near future, but well, near future is relative. In my opinion, it's near, but we're working on something behind the scenes, like
one of these days.
One of those days.
But it is definitely among the things that we want to do. And again, we're getting back to the initial, or to the problem that we've already mentioned, is the question of when. I suppose that it will come sooner or later, and right now it might look like somewhere in between of that, I don't know. Hopefully. But keep an eye out. When we have something more specific, we'll definitely let you guys know. But it is something that we would very much like to do.
For sure. Alright, let's have a look at what else the chat has to say. And Filip is able to get into an encounter already. There's this interesting question from Bulldozer Man. You guys made a cool hoodie. Okay, are there any plans to put that into the game? The threat one, the one that we released for the anniversary. I mean, it would be a cool idea. We would probably have to see what theme it would fit in with. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good idea. We're not turning it down. We could keep it.
It is a possibility.
Yeah, we could keep it in our backlog for sure, and have a look and have a listen to see if it's something that we would definitely be feasibly able to put in. All right. Okay, let's see what else the chat has to say. All right. Let's see. This was an interesting
100% encounter.
What? Everyone 100% encounter.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah, like an encounter that takes about like 6 hours to do.
All right.
That's tasty.
There was this statement: new maps have got to be very labor intensive to make, especially to avoid bugs or complaints on the next dev stream. Yeah, that's also a part of what Michal was talking about earlier, that we do take a lot of time. Our team spends a lot of time looking through things, but unfortunately sometimes the game has its own agenda, or it has a life of its own, that issues pop up that we're not visible to us on our end, and it can happen, but we are always working on fixes. And you are right, making maps are very labor intensive. That's why.
So, to put it a bit into perspective, and a slight detour I'm gonna take. I'm actually also following a couple of communities on Reddit that are more like game dev oriented, and also specifically focused on some game engines and stuff. And there's almost like, I don't know the frequency, but every now and a while someone posts like a show off of like, oh hey guys, I made this open world map or like open world game and whatnot. And like, with all due respect to those people, like it's great when those people are doing something, because you're learning by experience. But a lot of times it doesn't really look that good, and you kind of start realizing that, like, yeah. And so, just to put it into perspective, you are supposed to create a map from scratch. So you open a level editor, whatever it is, and it's just empty. And so you start adding things. Okay, I'm gonna add like a terrain, but the terrain is actually just, it's a flat like square or whatever. So you just now start sculpting out like the hills and valleys and whatnot. And maybe you decided I'm gonna add a river, and then you look at it and it looks terrible. So you start like redoing it over and over again, and like on like 15th iteration, it starts looking like semi-acceptably for a prototype. So you start like fleshing out the details and whatnot. Then you realize you have to add all the foliage, all the trees, stones, like. Literally, you can spend hours and hours on just placing stones on them. Then you need to add like whatever buildings, any interactables. You need to make sure there are spawn points. You need to correctly set. You need to make sure that any like dynamic elements are working correctly. Any visual effects, weather, all of that. It is a hell of a work to do to make a map from scratch. And this is, again, regardless of what game it is, like any map you do, it has to be filled with details. And then with regarding details, it's something that you don't even realize often is, because you focus on like, okay, I'm just gonna put a building here, and I'm gonna put, I don't know, a safe into the building because it's an interactable, and then you realize, okay, the building is empty, so I'm gonna put a table and a chair. And then you play the game a bit and you realize that it's sort of uncanny. It's like weird. There's something missing, right? And so you start like trying different stuff, and it's all of the details that we don't even realize are there. Imperfections where you start noticing certain patterns and whatnot, because we humans are actually really great at spotting patterns. So for example, the moment you start repeating an object, you'll notice it. You don't even know how, but you'll notice it. And so you have to work with all of this stuff to actually build a level that feels good, that is navigable, that is memorable, so you don't, for example, need to look at the map all the time. But instead, like, you actually kind of start remembering your path around the map. It is really difficult, and again, this is regardless of what game it is. Any game has this way. Of course.
And then you take that map and there is another game mode requested on it. So you have to think of that, how the dynamic on that map works.
And you have to test all of it. So you have to like run through the map up and down, up and down, up and down.
So come on, guys! You already have a prepared map. Why not do another game mode? Well, it's not prepared.
And again,
that much as you might think.
And again, this is not complaining. Like, ultimately, it is a wonderful process of like being able to build something that looks awesome from scratch, but it is very, very difficult. And
it's
so
a long process.
And so you have like AAA studios that can either outsource it or whatever, and they have like whole teams of 20, 30, 50 people dedicated just to make a map. I believe there are like even studios that have like specific positions of artists that are specifically dedicated, like a rock artist. That's literally a guy whose job is to paint rocks.
Oh my god.
when you have these resources, even then it takes a lot of time. But then again, like the results of that can be amazing. Like you can see maps that are so beautiful, that have like memorable points of interest, and like trying to get to that sort of point of perfection. I mean, I'd love to be able to do that myself sometime. But yeah, like we hope that we can bring a new cool maps as well. But again, it takes a lot of time. So we want to make sure that if we have a map, it's ready and it's great, and that you guys are gonna love it.
I actually, on the subject of time, remember when I said earlier that the hotfix for Nintendo Switch will probably be happening in a week tops-ish? Well, I just got news from the team that we will be releasing it tomorrow. So that's awesome. Hopefully you guys will appreciate this information as much as I am, and as much as Michal is, because like, oh, okay, this is great. It's great news, so that also would then...
Like, my butt cheeks have been tightened several times, but when working on that hotfix, so I'm glad it's gonna be out with you guys, and I hope
yeah,
that,
much sooner than we
butt cheeks are
expected.
relaxed now, right?
Yes,
Nice.
like not too much.
Okay.
Okay, I don't want to measure how much is too much. Let's try
It's
and
relative.
let's go on and talk about something else. We'll see what questions the chat has to say, but I just want to bring it up again that we will be releasing the hotfix specifically for the Nintendo Switch tomorrow. We will be giving you more information about it on our socials as well, so hopefully all will be good. And also, I wanted to address a question that I've seen in the chat, and also I've seen it on our social media. Can you share more about what people suggested in the survey? And in the chat, it was, will you guys be showing data from open questions of the survey? It was a shame that you didn't talk about them on the dev stream. Well, it was a shame, but you know, we had limited time. But we are planning on sharing them on our social media eventually. We will be going through it, and we will let you know how it goes through our social media. We hope that you were able to enjoy that data stream. I saw that some people would like another data stream with Jonas, so maybe that would be an interesting future stream. But yes, to answer this specific question in the chat and in our socials, we will be sharing more information.
Stay posted for the next episode of Crunching the Numbers.
All right.
And also, I'll answer the one question that was asked several times, and the person actually mentioned that they're very determined. They were even commended by Enzo about the weight system.
It was Sean, yeah.
So I suppose, like, I would say that it's probably a better question for when Alex could be on a stream some next time, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully.
I think he knows the system a little bit more, in that there unfortunately isn't such a how to put it, a sophisticated system as you guys and even us might hope. So I'm looking forward to how to put it. Like it's not that ideal. But it's not a terrible system. It's just much more actually simpler than it might look like. And personally, in my opinion, it's one thing that I hope we might be able to tweak at some point. But again, don't quote me on that. It might
People
happen.
will quote you on it.
Yes.
Especially because you said don't quote me on that. They
yeah.
will.
So like expect weight rework in 2047.
Okay.
Well, that will be quoted for sure.
Oh
Yeah.
no, Michal, you've thrown us off the deep end now. Oh no. we are going to see that coming for sure. Alright, we've actually got 1 minute left until we have to head on home and wrap up for the day. So maybe I will take a look at what the chat has to say. Sorry, what?
And so it's like, I will clip that, don't quote me on that, and cut out the word don't.
Aha, that's good editing skills. Alright. Let's see if there are some questions from the chat that would be very awesome to answer. Like something unique, something that we that we haven't answered yet, and something that we don't get too much on our social media. Let's have a look. Let's see. This is not a question, sadly, but I would like to read it out loud. But it's not a question, and I promise to have a question. So, alright, let's see.
I can read it instead of you, in my somber voice.
No, that's alright. Alright. Maybe.
She doesn't know.
Maybe. Well, I haven't seen much questions, sadly. I've seen a lot of discussions, which is great, so I'm gonna take one of the question that is in Czech, but it's not really. They said they would like to ask, but I am not very good at this, and my Czech is not very good, unfortunately.
They're asking whether it's still possible to find lighters.
Yeah, and they're looking for it from Dvorg Forest for like 50 games.
Yeah, so the whole trick is that their drop rate isn't that huge, so...
Yes, they are quite rare, but that's because they're mementos, so it's good that they're specifying that in Dvorg it was a little bit tough. Maybe we could look into that if there's something not usual over there, but lighters in general are difficult to find and to take back into your shelter.
And the second part is about killing with consumables, killing players in consumable. 20 kills with consumables in encounters. That doesn't mean just one soul encounter, but encounters in general.
Yeah,
in encounters game mode.
Okay, so I guess then that's something that we have to tweak as well with the wording in the challenge.
Well, I personally think that, well, at least in English, I believe it's alright, but we might want to recheck the localizations to other languages.
But in English as well, it's a bit sus.
Do you want?
Yes.
Are you trying to say that we should recheck the Czech?
Yes, recheck.
We might recheck that.
What? Překladny dobře napsáno, musíme to opravit. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yep. It wasn't.
Okay.
We will be looking into it.
Like we said, we're gonna recheck it.
The check will rechecked.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep, for sure.
Checkception.
Oh no. Alright, well, I said last question, but it was 2 good questions in one go and it came from one message, so hopefully that sourced that. Thank you so much for stopping by our stream. Thank you, Michal and Filip, for coming along as well. Would
My
you
pleasure.
be having any last words for our community before we meet?
Last words.
No, not for your life, just for the community.
Just stay vigorous, stay awesome, and keep us posted. What do you want? What do you prefer? If you encounter some bugs, tell us as much as you know, and tell us what you would like to see in the game. What would make you happy? I'll see into it.
Yep.
And then I'll say no.
No. That's how it goes. I mean,
pleasant.
I'll buy him some drinks. It's okay. Just
Some drinks, not one, but some.
Yeah, well, we've already established that, but.
All right. Okay, Michal, any last words for real though, for the community?
For real though. It's a shame. Thanks for coming, guys, and thanks for all the feedback, all the responses and reactions from you. Again, whether it's bug reports, whether it's honestly even trash talk on Reddit and whatnot, is somewhat appreciated sometimes if it contains at least something,
something constructive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
are aware that. We're not the best team in the world, unfortunately.
But we are trying our best.
We are trying our best, and with that in mind, sometimes there are going to be mistakes. Sometimes there are going to be bugs.
We're human.
We're human. Though try to be nice.
Yeah. But my point is that well, as you said, like we're trying our best. So. Just
bear with us.
Yeah, bear with us. Hold on there. As much as you can help us, it's appreciated, and it will make it easier for everyone in the world. Again, I hope that the fix that is incoming on Switch and that you guys also on other platforms already had will make it much better for you regarding the unfortunate screw-ups. We also hope that we can avoid anything like that in the future. And just have fun and keep an eye out for all the spicy stuff that we have in store, because we have a lot of ideas and a lot of things already pre-planned. which I hope you will be able to see. So
Yep.
yeah, stick with us and
Stay tuned.
see you in the Outlands.
Yep. Thank you everyone for coming by, and we'll see you in the Outlands. Bye bye.
See you in the Outlands.